The night before our wedding, my in-laws locked me in a hotel room and took my phone, smirking, "This is for his own good." I thought no one would find me, until the door burst open. My fiancé stood there, eyes blazing, and whispered, "I knew they'd pull something like this." What happened next left his family screaming. I never thought something like this would happen to me. I hear about controlling in-laws. I read those horror stories online. But I always thought, wow, at least I don't have to deal with that kind of nightmare. Then, the night before my wedding, I learned just how far some people are willing to go to get what they want. And what they wanted was me gone. My name is Julia. I'm 29. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I was supposed to get married last weekend. To the love of my life. To the only person in his family who actually respects me. His parents? Different story. His mother, Deborah, is the type of woman who thinks nobody is ever good enough for her son. His father, Mark, follows her lead like some sort of business partner instead of a husband. They're the kind of people who smile at you while their words cut you down. The kind that act supportive while quietly waiting for you to fail. For the longest time, I ignored the red flags. The comments. The accidental exclusions from family events. The way Deborah always told Daniel, "You could have any girl you want." It was annoying, but I figured they'd get over it eventually. Then came our wedding weekend. We chose a beautiful resort in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Daniel and I wanted something simple, elegant, and small. My parents were on board. His extended family was thrilled. His parents? Cold. Distant. They didn't even pretend to be happy. And the night before our wedding, I found out why. Tradition says the bride and groom spend the night apart, so I was staying in a separate hotel room. I was exhausted. The day had been packed with last-minute planning, a rehearsal dinner, and the usual chaos of a wedding weekend. By the time I got to my room, I just wanted to crash. But the second I stepped inside, something felt off. At first, I couldn't figure out what it was. The room looked normal. Bed neatly made. Curtains drawn. Everything in place. Then, as I set my purse down, I realized my charger was missing. I always keep a charger in my purse. Always. But it was gone. I frowned, digging through my bag. Then I reached for my phone to text Daniel. That's when the door clicked shut behind me. I turned. And standing there, blocking the exit, were Deborah and Mark. They were smiling. "Sit down," Deborah said. I laughed. "Excuse me?" Mark stepped forward. "We need to talk." I took a step back. "Whatever you need to say, you can say to me outside." Deborah sighed, shaking her head like I was some misbehaving child. "Julia, this is for his own good." And then, she pulled my phone out of her pocket. I froze. How did she? I looked at my purse. My phone had been inside it. I was sure of it. But now it was in her hands. A sick feeling settled in my stomach. "You don't belong in this family," Deborah said softly. I stared at them. My heart was hammering. What the hell is this? Mark closed the door. Locked it. Oh! Oh shit. I ran to the door immediately. Yanked at the handle. Nothing. The windows? Bolted. The room phone? Gone. I turned back to them, my breath coming fast. "Let me out. Right now." Mark sighed. "Julia, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I snapped. "You think you can lock me in a hotel room and make me disappear?" Deborah's smile never wavered. "We're giving you time to think." "Think about what?" She tilted her head. "Whether you really want to do this." It was so ridiculous I almost laughed. Almost. "You seriously think locking me up will make me change my mind?" Mark sighed. "Not you. Him." For a moment I didn't understand. Then it hit me. They weren't trying to convince me to leave. They were going to tell Daniel I left him. A wave of nausea hit me. They wanted him to think I got cold feet. That I abandoned him. That I just up and ran. "You're insane," I whispered. Deborah tucked my phone into her bag. "By morning, you'll realize this was for the best." And then, just like that, they left. I lunged for the door as it shut. Pounded my fists against it. Screamed. Nothing. I was trapped. For the first few minutes, I was in shock. This couldn't be real. Things like this don't happen. Not in real life. Then the panic hit. I searched the entire room. Checked the vents. The air ducts. I even tried forcing the lock open with a hotel pen. Nothing worked. I had no phone. No way to call for help. No way out. I ran to the window. Looked outside. I was on the 3rd floor. Jumping was out of the question. I went back to the door. Kicked it. Pounded it. Screamed at the top of my lungs. Nobody heard me. Or if they did, they ignored it. Minutes passed. Then an hour. And then, the lock turned. The door burst open. And standing there, breathing hard, eyes blazing, Daniel. He was furious. But not at me. "They told me you left." His voice shook with rage. "They said you changed your mind." I ran to him. They locked me in here. His jaw clenched so hard I thought his teeth might break. He looked around the room, saw the missing phone, the bolted windows, the untouched bed. Then he turned and saw his mother standing behind him. Deborah's face was pale. Mark appeared beside her, mouth open, like he was going to start damage control. Daniel spoke first. "You locked my fiancé in a hotel room the night before our wedding?" Neither of them answered. His voice was quiet, dangerous. "Get the F***ck out." Deborah started stammering. We were just trying to." Daniel didn't let her finish. He reached for the door and slammed it shut in their faces. I stood there, breathing hard, my hands still shaking. Daniel had just shut the door in their faces. But I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I looked up at him. His fists were clenched, his jaw so tight I could see the muscles twitching. He was furious. I had never seen him like this before. "What did they tell you?" I whispered. Daniel let out a sharp breath, running a hand through his hair. "That you panicked. That you got cold feet and left. They said you didn't want to embarrass me by calling off the wedding in front of everyone." I stared at him. "And you believed them?" He flinched. "Just a little." "No, not really." Something felt off. Mom was acting weird. But then she showed me a text from you. My stomach dropped. "What text?" Daniel pulled out his phone. Showed me the message. It was from my number. "I can't do this. I'm sorry. Please don't come looking for me. I need to be alone." I felt sick. "That's not me." My voice was shaking. "I didn't send that." "I know." His voice was tight. But for a minute, I didn't know what to think. And then I saw my mom's face. He let out a bitter laugh. She was too happy. I swallowed hard. "They took my phone. They must have sent it themselves." His eyes darkened. "That's what I figured. So I went to your room. Knocked. No answer. I called your phone. Straight to voicemail. Then I went downstairs and asked the front desk for a key." I grabbed his arm. "Wait, they just gave you a key?" His face twisted. No, my heart pounded. "So how?" Daniel glanced at the door. Then back at me. I broke in. A loud banging on the door made me jump. "Daniel." Deborah's voice rang out, sharp and angry. "Open this door right now." He didn't move. Another bang. "Daniel, listen to me. She's manipulating you. She's trying to turn you against your own family." I let out a bitter laugh. Unbelievable. Daniel still didn't move. His eyes were locked on mine. "Daniel," Mark's voice now. Calmer. More measured. "We need to talk about this like adults." "Funny," Daniel said, voice dripping with venom. "Since you locked my fiancé in a hotel room like a kidnapper." Silence. Then Deborah's voice again. Desperate now. "You're making a mistake." Daniel exhaled slowly. Turned to me. "Do you want to talk to them?" I wanted to scream at them. But more than that, I just wanted to get the hell out of there. "No," I said. "I just want to leave." He nodded. Then he walked to the door, swung it open, and looked them both in the eye. "My fiancé and I are leaving. You will not follow us." His voice was calm. Ice cold. "And tomorrow? Don't bother showing up to the wedding." Deborah gasped like he had just hit her. "You don't mean that." "Yes," he said. "I do." Mark took a step forward. "Daniel, think about what you're doing." Daniel slammed the door in their faces. Then he turned to me, grabbed my hand, and pulled me out through the side exit. We were gone. We spent the night in a different hotel. Just the two of us. No family. No drama. I didn't sleep. Neither did he. We lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my heart still racing. Then at 3 a.m., Daniel's phone buzzed. It was his brother. Daniel read the message. His whole body went rigid. "What?" I whispered. He turned the phone toward me. It was a photo. Of his parents. Sitting in the lobby of our wedding venue. Waiting. My stomach twisted. "They're not going to leave." "No," Daniel murmured. "They're not." We sat in silence for a long moment. Then he looked at me. "I have an idea." And when he told me, I almost felt bad for them. Almost. Daniel sat up, his eyes locked on the glowing screen of his phone. His parents were sitting in the lobby of our wedding venue, like vultures waiting for something to die. I could barely think straight. "What do we do?" His jaw tightened. "We ruin them." I blinked. "What?" Daniel turned to me, voice low and steady. "They think they can manipulate me. That they can just erase you from my life. They tried to trap you, they lied to me, and now they're sitting there, waiting for me to come crawling back." His fingers curled around his phone. "They want control? Let's make sure they lose everything." I stared at him. "How?" And then he told me. It was risky. It was dramatic. It was perfect. At 6 a.m., we drove back to the venue. The sun was just coming up. The parking lot was mostly empty, except for a few cars. The place looked peaceful. Quiet. Inside, I knew it was anything but. Daniel squeezed my hand as we stepped through the front doors. And just like that, his mother was on us. Deborah shot up from the lobby chair, eyes bloodshot, hair slightly disheveled like she'd been up all night. Daniel, she gasped, rushing toward us. Oh, thank God. I knew you'd come to your senses. Daniel didn't say a word, just stared at her. Mark stood up slower, adjusting his jacket, trying to act calm. Son, we need to talk about this. You're being emotional. Deborah reached for Daniel's hand, like she was about to physically take him away from me. That's when Daniel stepped back. No, Deborah froze. What? No, he repeated. I didn't come here to talk. He pulled out his phone. I came here to make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. And then he hit play. Deborah's voice filled the lobby. This is for his own good. You don't belong in this family. By morning, you'll realize this was for the best. Mark's voice followed. Not you. Him. We need to talk about this like adults. The security camera footage. Daniel had gotten it from the hotel. Every word. Every smug smile. The moment they took my phone. The moment they locked the door. And now? It was playing on speaker. In the middle of the wedding venue. In front of guests. Because, oh yeah, people had started arriving. A few of my family members. Some of Daniel's cousins. A couple of groomsmen. All watching. Deborah's face drained of color. Turn that off. Mark lunged forward like he was going to grab the phone. Daniel didn't flinch. Instead, he looked up. Right at the venue manager. Do you really want people like this in your establishment? The woman, mid-40s, sharp suit, didn't take sh*T from anyone, folded her arms. Not particularly. Then she turned to security. And just like that, Daniel's parents were escorted out. Deborah's shrieks echoed through the lobby. Daniel, we're your family. Mark's voice was lower, but meaner. You're going to regret this. Daniel stood there, completely still, as his own parents were thrown out of our wedding. Then, finally, he turned to me. Are you okay? I took a breath. A deep, shaky breath. And then I nodded. But I knew, this wasn't over. It should have ended there. But people like Deborah and Mark? They don't just walk away. The wedding was set to start at noon. Guests were arriving. The energy was shifting. People were buzzing about what had just happened. And then, at 11:30 a.m., a cop car pulled up. I was in the bridal suite when one of the groomsmen, Lucas, came running in. You guys aren't gonna believe this, he panted. Daniel and I looked at him. Your parents, Lucas gasped, hands on his knees. They called the police. I felt cold. What? They're outside right now, Lucas said, saying they need to report a kidnapping. We rushed outside. Sure enough, there was a cop standing there, notepad in hand, listening as Deborah dramatically sobbed about how her son was being held against his will. I wanted to laugh. Instead, I looked at the cop. Officer, I promise, nobody is being kidnapped. Deborah spun on me. She's manipulating him. She locked him in a room all night, convincing him to turn against his own family. Oh, the irony. Daniel stepped forward. I am a grown man, he said slowly. I am here by my own choice. Nobody has forced me to do anything. The cop frowned. Sir, just to be clear, you're saying there's no kidnapping happening here? Daniel sighed. The only person who was locked in a room last night was my fiancé. By them. The cop blinked. Deborah made a strangled noise. That's ridiculous. And then Daniel did the one thing that shut everything down. He pulled out his phone and showed the cop the video. The same one that got them kicked out earlier. The cop watched it all. Then he turned to Deborah and smirked. So, he said, flipping his notepad closed. About this kidnapping you were reporting. Deborah's mouth snapped shut. The cop looked at Daniel. Sir, you want me to remove them from the premises? Deborah's face twisted. You wouldn't dare. Mark had gone silent. He knew. They'd lost. Daniel looked his mother dead in the eye. Yes, get them out of here. The police officer wasn't interested in playing Deborah's games. After watching the security footage, after hearing Daniel himself say he wanted nothing to do with them, it was clear to everyone she had lost. But Deborah? She wasn't going down quietly. This isn't over, she shrieked as the officer motioned for them to leave. Daniel, you don't understand what you're doing. She's poisoning you against us. Mark, who had been silent this whole time, finally snapped. Stop it, Deborah. Deborah turned to him, shocked. Excuse me? Mark let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. You're embarrassing yourself. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I told you this wouldn't work, he went on, voice cold. I told you months ago that if you pushed too hard, you'd lose him. But you just had to be in control. Deborah blinked. For the first time since this entire disaster started, she looked small. But then, just as quickly, her face twisted with anger. Don't you dare blame me for this. She whirled back to Daniel, her voice sharp with desperation. You're a son. This girl, she's just a phase. A mistake you'll regret. I felt Daniel's hand tighten around mine. But his face was calm. No, Mom, he said softly. You're the mistake. It hit like a slap. Deborah actually stumbled back. I had never seen Daniel this way before. He was always the one who tried to keep the peace, the one who brushed things off, the one who told me, that's just how they are. Not anymore. Deborah let out a sharp breath. Then her expression hardened. You'll regret this. Daniel tilted his head. Will I? Her lips pressed together. And then, with a stiff turn of her heel, she stormed away. Mark hesitated for half a second before following. But just as he passed Daniel, he muttered, You really think you can cut us out forever? Daniel didn't even blink. Watch me. And just like that, they were gone. The second they were out of sight, it felt like the entire venue exhaled. The guests who had witnessed the chaos started murmuring, whispering to each other. Some shook their heads. Others looked relieved. Then Daniel turned to me. Are you okay? I was shaking. My body's still full of adrenaline. My head still spinning from what just happened. But then I looked up at him, this man who had chosen me over them, who had stood up for me when it mattered most, and I realized something. For the first time all day, I felt safe. I nodded. Yeah, I am now. Daniel exhaled, like he'd been holding his breath for hours. Then, without another word, he pulled me into his arms. I closed my eyes, sinking into him. And then, from behind us, well, that was something. I turned to see Daniel's brother, Aaron. Unlike their parents, Aaron had always been neutral. Never got involved in the drama. Never picked sides. But now he looked different. Wow, he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. They really lost their damn minds. I let out a tired laugh. Tell me about it. Aaron studied Daniel. You're serious about this, huh? About cutting them off? Daniel didn't hesitate. Yeah, I am. Aaron whistled lowly. Then he shrugged. Well, he said. If they're out, guess that makes you my only sibling worth talking to. I blinked. That was unexpected. Daniel raised an eyebrow. You're not going to defend them? Aaron snorted. Defend what? The fact that they kidnapped your fiancé and tried to ruin your wedding? No thanks. He shook his head. They've always been like this. This time, they just went too far. Daniel studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. Aaron clapped him on the back. Guess I'll see you at the ceremony then. And with that, he walked off, leaving us standing there. Daniel turned to me, eyes searching. Still want to get married? He murmured. I laughed. A real, genuine laugh. After everything, after all this insanity, he actually thought I'd have doubts? I reached for his hand, lacing our fingers together. More than ever. After all that, we still got married. And it was perfect. No tension. No stress. No toxic people lurking in the background, waiting to sabotage us. Just love. Deborah and Mark? Nowhere to be seen. They didn't call. They didn't try to show up. They were gone. And honestly, I didn't miss them. 2 weeks later, Daniel got a letter. From his parents. A last-ditch effort to guilt him. I expected something dramatic. A sob story. Some manipulation. But what did Deborah write? I hope you realize what a mistake you've made. You'll come crawling back. You always do. I read it once. Then I read it again. And then I laughed. Daniel did too. Because for the first time in his entire life, he was free. And he had nothing to go back to. Looking back, I should have seen this coming. The warning signs were there. But in a way, I'm glad it happened. Because it showed me who Daniel really was. Who he was willing to fight for. And at the end of the day, it wasn't his parents. It was me. And that made it all worth it.